Welcome to Wellness Wednesday with Britt. I'm Britt, and this week we're going to continue on the theme of staying active and doing the things that we enjoy. Briefly, we're just going to talk about what it's like to live with chronic illness and how to continue doing the things that we enjoy, even with some difficulties. So let's go ahead and get into that discussion. So today we have Brandon Mouw, and he's going to speak with us about staying active and doing some of the things that you enjoy while living with a chronic illness. Brandon, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hey, I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. You have a pretty unique journey, Brandon. Can you tell us a little bit, give a little bit of history on your health issues that you've been dealing with?
Yeah, so at the age of 3, I was diagnosed as a type 1 juvenile diabetic, and everything was well controlled and fine on insulin and diet and exercise and just growing up as a normal life until June of 2015. And so um, I was a diabetic for about 28, 29 years before I started having any issues or complications. And it kind of all started when I had a kidney stone. And after they went in to remove the kidney stone, then I started becoming a brittle diabetic, which means that no matter what you do, you can't control your blood sugars. And so what I used to be able to do, which was eat well and take my insulin, would no longer work. I would eat well and take insulin, and then my blood sugar would be so low that I became non-functional. Or I would take too much insulin and nothing would work. It would make my blood sugar high. And so no matter what happened, you couldn't make the right decision. And then my kidney still had issues, so they went back in and did 6 more surgeries, and they finally removed the kidney. And it kind of became me having control over my diabetes my entire life to then the diabetes having control over me. And the only solution to fixing that was to get a pancreas-only transplant. And insurance didn't cover that. So I had to fundraise to raise the money to cover the life-saving transplant that I needed after I was told that I would only be able to live 2 years or less, and the next low blood sugar that I had would likely be my last. So I was like given a death sentence and told I had to raise $250,000 to live. And so it was a race of survival.
Yeah. Oh my word. Well, that obviously presented quite a bit of stress at a critical time in your life. And so how old were you? You said you when you first developed the kidney stones, what age were you at?
27, 28, like
Okay,
around
so
there. Yeah.
you'd had come to an understanding of how life was up into a large chunk of your life, and then all of a sudden it seems like your health took such a drastic decline, and you had to find a new way to go about living and face some really serious decisions and health issues within a short period of time. So, I mean, were you, when you had this, you said you developed the brittle diabetes, and how long between that diagnosis and that issue to getting your transplant? How many years
It took
elapsed between
about
that?
it took about 2 years to get to that point. So
Wow.
it was really it was one of those things where, hey, I had my life figured out. I was working on my career. Everything was good and great. And then it became just a nightmare of trying to survive, which was a whole new thing to learn how to do. And then and then from the time I knew about the transplant to the time I got it was about 2 years, and that entire time was just survival. It was me just trying to survive. Because every time the body has a hypoglycemia or low blood sugar, parts of the brain start shutting down, and
Oh,
non-essential functions that the brain determines start shutting down, like logical thinking and then feeling and then vision. And the idea is that the body's trying to reserve energy to keep the heart and lungs going. And so then when you eat enough sugar, your brain is then able to function, but it has to restart. So if you think of it kind of like a battery, you can only drain a battery and recharge it so many times before it doesn't work anymore. And I
mhm.
was reaching the end of that recharging mode. And yeah, so within those 2 years, I was working around all of that while trying to get approved and raise money and do all of the necessary things for the transplant.
Wow. So, I mean, I know that this episode is, about living a, normal life and doing the things that one enjoys, but that must have presented such an increased stress load on your body. And like you said, you were pretty much in survival mode. How did you how did you cope faced with something so stressful and critical to your survival? How did you emotionally get through that time?
I kind of, when I look back at the time, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I was just like, I'm in it to win it. And if I wake up today, I'm going to do my best that I absolutely can today to make it happen. But when I look at it back at it now, and I think, well, what was motivating me to like survive? Because at any time I could have just said screw it and have not fought back and allowed the low blood sugars to take me down. And when I think about it, I remember all of the good things that I experienced in my life growing up and until I was 28. And then I thought about all of the great things that were awaiting my future if I were to have one. And that was really the motivation for me to put up with it and go through it. So I was like, there's a reason. Like if I wake up every day, there is a reason for me waking up that day. And I wasn't going to just say, oh, what's the point? The whole idea was me looking forward to something, and that's kind of what gave me that motivation.
I'm really glad that you were able to find those touchstones to keep you going. Because honestly, I mean, until any one of us is in a situation like that, it's very difficult to say who of us could stand. You have to have those motivating factors to keep going. So I'm really glad that you are sitting here now before me and having this interview. Um, so obviously, you said you're about a year and a half post transplant now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Um, what is life like for you these days?
So life is very different than how it was until like my entire life before transplant and when I became very sick. Um, I feel good. I feel like I want to live like I have all this motivation because I've been given a second chance at life.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I am dealing with a very rare type of transplant. At any moment, it can go into rejection. I have medication side effects just from the anti-rejection medicine. One of the biggest issues is that I no longer have an immune system. And so anything from a common cold or getting food sickness is more than likely a death sentence. And so like I have to take all of those things into consideration while trying to live my life to the fullest. And I haven't let it really stop me yet. I just take different types of precautions than I did before.
Makes sense. I can imagine the time that we're living in right now is definitely presents a special set of circumstances for
Yeah.
caution and awareness of what you do, basically. So to go into that a little bit more specifically, I wanted to ask you, what sort of things do you do? I mean, I would imagine your mindset plays a huge role in, obviously, your mindset plays a huge role in how you feel. Um, I would imagine, I've checked out, your social media and your Instagram, and you're a pretty active guy. You seem to have a lot of activities that you enjoy. Obviously, right now, with the pandemic, things are curtailed. Our activities are curtailed somewhat, but in general, what sort of activities do you enjoy doing that kind of help you keep your mind feeling healthy, keep your mind feeling not necessarily distracted, but keep you focused on the things that you enjoy? What are those things?
Yeah, and it took me getting really sick to really find out what it was that I enjoyed in life. Because before it was just easy to do. You just went and you did it because and now you find I'm able to find so much more joy and happiness and just like laughing and smiling and have less worries about things in the most simplest of things. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go on vacations to Europe and go like going on a hike that's 10 minutes down the road to me is fun. I see birds, I see coyotes, and I think this is awesome. I take my dog with me and I just embrace it and I enjoy it. And I think, this is great. When I'm able to, I live 30 minutes from the beach, or 30-minute drive. I go down to the beach and the water just started getting warm. So I'm able to go in there without a wetsuit, or I put my wetsuit on and I scuba dive, I surf, I boogie board, I body surf, I snorkel. Like, I just enjoy it. And that simple little thing to me, it brings me enough joy to feel like I'm living a fulfilled life. And I'm all for it. I love hanging out with friends and playing cards and having a barbecue and going to the lake and all that kind of stuff. And so, like when there aren't restrictions and it's more safe, that's what I usually do. I just find things to do, and if people are unable to do it, I go and do what I can by myself. That is safe because um, things can go wrong. I am living on borrowed body part, and so like I really just have to tone down things a little bit, but I'm able to enjoy them completely. So yeah, like other thing, like go on a bike ride every evening. Like for how simple that sounds, it brings you start noticing different things and enjoying things, and you start seeing new plants growing, and you're like, whoa, that tree got big really like it's just weird, the little things that you notice when you start um, really embracing and enjoying the smaller things.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, Brandon. You are really experiencing, in my opinion, what's actually important about life. It is the little things that we notice that can bring us the greatest joy, rather than, you're working so hard to save up for that one vacation you might get to take in a year's time. You're enjoying the things that come with the simple joy of just waking up each day and seeing what there is to be happy about around you. So I think you are far ahead of the game in that sense. Um, you mentioned you like to spend time with your dog. You have a very special and unique dog, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
Boone, is it?
correct. Yeah, his name's Boone.
And can you tell us a little bit about how you happen to be paired up with Boone?
Yeah, so when the kidney issues started and I had the brittle diabetes, I was having the low blood sugars, which would happen within moments. Like a normal diabetic, you test your blood, you know what it is, you eat food, and you count the carbohydrates, and you dose yourself with enough insulin, or the word is called bolusing, but you give yourself enough insulin to cover the meal. Well, when that doesn't work anymore and you have nothing but low blood sugars, and you have sensors that help read your blood sugar, but they're not live time. They're about 10 minutes behind live time. And so when your blood sugar drops within a minute, that sensor and that meter that is attached to your body that's supposed to alert you to trends can't keep up, because what is happening is going on too fast. So there are trained dogs, there are service dogs called diabetic alert dogs, and they're trained to smell low blood sugars, because when your body starts going low, your liver lets out cholesterol because it has a reserve of glucagon, which is kind of like sugar water, that helps manage your blood sugar if you're running out of energy for your body to work off of. But as a diabetic, the body's trying to get that from the liver and doesn't have it, so it releases cholesterol where cholesterol is stored. And so the dog is taught based on saliva samples from diabetics who are having low blood sugars on what that smell is like. And then the dog can immediately know when your blood sugar is dropping by smelling the air and coming up and scratching your leg. And so I had to get Boone because I was passing out too much at work, and I was found unconscious, and I had to have the paramedics called, and it was becoming so much of a problem that I didn't know what else to do. And then I found the service dogs, and I was able to get one that was fully trained. And I would not be here today if I did not have him in my life. And he definitely has saved my life more times than I can count, by waking me up in the middle of the night, by alerting me while I was sitting there at work. And he would alert me. I would drink juice. And then a few minutes later, my monitors and meters would catch on and be like, "Oh, you're having a low blood sugar." And I'm like, "Oh, it's okay. I already treated for it." And so he has been a lifesaver, and really another really a motivating thing that I had in my life, because I had to care for him while I was sick, and then he cared for me. So we have this really unique relationship, and we're really close, and he's an awesome dog.
That's amazing. Well, he seems like, I mean, he's gorgeous. I was trying to actually figure out what breed is Boone?
So he's a golden doodle. So he's golden retriever and standard poodle
Okay.
mix. Yeah, like he looks like a golden retriever with the curly tail. Like it's
Exactly.
funny. Yeah. But he has like that golden hair, and he's hypoallergenic, and yeah, he's an awesome. He, like, everyone talks about their pets like they're so awesome, but like really, I mean, being able to say that he has saved my life is an understatement. And I am like so fortunate that I was able to have him, and I currently have him in my life. And even now with my transplant, I still have some hypoglycemic episodes, and he'll come up and alert me. And he still comes up and smells my breath, and he'll smell the air around me and check on me as often as he can, because that's what he's trained to do.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea until I was reading about your backstory that there was even such a thing as a dog for diabetes. Like, it's amazing what these service animals can provide for their owner. It sounds like he has been an amazing friend and caregiver to you. So I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you were able to find him and be able to be connected, and that you did the amount of research. Sounds like the research that you have put into your condition and put into your options have truly saved your life, in
Yeah.
more ways than one.
Yeah. It was, I never thought I would end up in this position. You never think that the things are going to happen. but it's all about how you deal with them and your reaction to them. And for me, it was I like to know the information. I like to know the history, the background, like how did it get this way? What is going on? And that was the same thing for like Boone. Okay, so how are these dogs trained, and who like what are people saying about them, and who has had these dogs? And it's hard to find because there aren't a lot of them out there. You're seeing more and more of now, or maybe I just notice them more now because I've had Boone, but I do see more of them now, especially on social media. But out in public, it's few and far between. But yeah, he really has been. He's been one of the greatest gifts that I have been able to receive in my life. That's for sure.
It sounds like, and I'd say there is absolutely no exaggeration there when you say that your dog is awesome. I would have to agree with you wholeheartedly there. I before we wrap up, there is one question I have. It's something that I kind of saw passed around on social media a few months back, I think, and it had something to do with service animals. And they said if you have a service animal, usually they have their identifying vest on or whatnot. But if a dog comes up to you and is trying to get your attention, how important it can be to follow them back to, because that's what they're trained to do, right? To go
Yeah.
find somebody, a human, to get help for their owner.
Yeah. So there are different types of service animal. The main type is like the seeing eye, the dog that helps balance if you have like MS and diseases that affect your ability to walk and stuff like that. And then there are the seizure dogs, and then there's like the diabetic alert dogs, and all of them are trained to go find somebody if the person that they're supposed to take care of is not doing what they're supposed to, like if they've fallen down and can't get back up, or if they're walking around lost, or if they have a low blood sugar and they're non-responsive, then they go and try to find someone else to let them know. And it is a pretty amazing thing, and Boone has done it twice for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Gee, I hope I meet Boone one of these days. He sounds like quite a character. Um, so Brandon, I this has been, I mean, this is just touching on the very tip of the iceberg, but um, you sound like you have an amazing attitude about life. It sounds like you really get what's important, especially having that second chance at it, you know.
Yeah.
There, I know we spoke briefly before this interview started about other people that may be facing similar circumstances, facing a organ transplant. Um, what if you were to speak with somebody out there who is feeling very unsure of life? Say they were in a situation similar to the circumstances you were when you received the news that you had to get your organ transplant. If somebody was just at the beginning stages of that, what kind of advice would you give to? What kind of advice would you give to yourself back at that time?
Yeah. So the first thing is that you're going to feel helpless, and that's normal because it's nothing but setbacks. Tests come back not good, and then you have to go and treat it, and then you're told you have to wait longer. um, if you are able to actually get on like a wait list, or like you're waiting for surgery, you can actually get it. If things get rescheduled, like you're basically on everyone else's time, and you just have to sit there and wait. However, there comes a time when you get that phone call. There comes a time when that surgery happens. There comes a time where everything that you found hopeless, everything that you found to be overwhelming stops, and it completely changes. And then you start facing new things, but your biggest issues are able to be conquered in the most unexpected times. And so my advice would be to not give up when it's easy to give up, or when it's easy to say no, or when it's easy to say no, today is just I'm not going to do it. uh, every day that you're able to wake up is a day that you can at least try something. Just waking up is a success. Like, heck, like, how many people a day are unable to get that advantage at life? That is a huge success. So count that as the first success for the day. Like, hello, I woke up. Okay. And if you can accomplish one more thing, that is huge. And some days are going to be that way. And then you're going to get that call where it's going to help resolve the issue that you've been fighting and that has brought you to the point where you have felt hopeless, and then you're able to start enjoying life again. So don't give up.
Well, Brandon, I think that is amazing advice, and I'm going to take that advice and write that in my journal tonight for my gratitude thoughts for tomorrow, because I think that's advice that everybody can benefit from. And I appreciate your perspective, and I appreciate what you're doing to share your journey with everybody out there who gets to see, your social media, your Instagram, your Insta stories, because it's not easy to share personal health struggles with the world. That's never an easy thing. I feel that takes a lot of bravery, but what you're doing is having a huge impact on others. And I appreciate seeing your updates. I appreciate hearing what your perspective is on life. You've posted the other day about ice cream, like, it's getting to see the world through your eyes, seeing that different perspective, and seeing that there is hope, that there is going to be a struggle, but that doesn't have to dominate your existence. And I just I thank you for, being authentically yourself, because I know it is inspiring to me and so many others.
Well, hey, thank you. And I appreciate it. And that's why I put it out there, because when I was going through all of this, I didn't find that. And had I have found it, or someone that was going through something similar than me, it would have inspired me a lot. And so I was given a second chance at life, and I hope that I'm able to give back in this way. And so that's what I'm doing. And so if anyone has any questions or wants to know any information, please contact me. I answer every message, every comment, every email, whatever, because I am a resource out there that, an in-person resource that, of answers that Google can't quite provide.
I think you're much better than Google. I wish I could add you to my Alexa resources. Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. And I hope that you and Boone have a wonderful evening.
All right. Same to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.